Hi there, James here from the Growth Executive with this week's learning on the 13-week Growth Tactics series. Again, this is week number 6. We've been talking a lot about sales velocity, picking your channel, like where do you begin? What I want to do now is move a little bit away from marketing. We'll touch back on marketing again in a bit, but want to move back into more sales because at the end of the day, rubber hits the road where your ability to close actual deals. And that starts, of course, with conversation. So today we're going to cover the stages every pipeline should have. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, as well as a resource you can download. And again, my invitation stands. You can reply to this email with questions. If you want to take a snapshot of the headings in your CRM, I'm happy to look at your configuration and see what we can do to keep your deals moving smoothly as well. Okay, so again, the sales velocity, we're going to be focused right here on the percentage of win rate or the close rate. That's going to tell us our success actually converting leads or that marketing energy that we've been expending into actual cash. So like, what does it take to win deals? Now, it goes without saying, it takes the right kind of customer, right? We need to have the right leads in our pipeline. So we've talked about qualifying leads. We'll hit on that again a little bit later. We've talked about the right type of channels to bring in the right customer. And of course, we know who our customer is. And last but not least, we know what problem we're solving for them. Now, once we get on the phone with them, it comes down to some tactics, some sales tactics as to whether we're successful at winning or not. So for example, how much of the listening, how much time do you spend listening versus talking? Are you asking relevant questions? Are you tying that back into their pain? Are you making it clear? And is the next step visible? So, or clear to the customer prospect? Do they know exactly what's expected of them? Because a confused mind will not buy. So if you don't clarify what's exactly needed from them, next they'll just kind of sit there. And remember, the responsibility in sales is on you to close the deal, not your prospect. They're the ones in pain. They're in too much pain, presumably, to know what to do. Your job is to guide them to the solution and never feel bad about doing that because obviously you have the solution and they're in pain, right? Okay, so sales process is a big way that we do that. It's really time to that first conversation. So speed the lead, sometimes what that's referred to, but how fast you get to that first conversation, the discovery phase during that conversation, getting, of course, an agreement that's clear in front of them, whether that be a one-click install link, something that they just click on, fill out their form and start, or maybe it's an agreement that needs to get signed. And of course, if they're not the decision maker buy-in, because obviously it's going to take a decision maker to make a decision. All right, so sales process. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the coming weeks. As I said, sales is a passion of mine, but let me start with just a typical pipeline organizer. And this is the resource in this week's email. I always coach my clients to start from analyzing their pipeline from left to right. So that's the deal flow. Their sales pipeline comes in with their interest. That's new leads popping in. How quickly or how often they're in contact or who they're in contact with. So with my sales leader, for example, my startup, every Monday, we have our all hands RevOps meeting. And then on Tuesday mornings, the sales manager and I get together and we talk specifically about these numbers. Where are we across the team? Maybe across his effort specifically. We can do deal level reviews and we can address things as we move further down the pipe. So again, when you're looking at the organization as the CEO, you're going to go from left to right and your optimization of that funnel, because that's going to inform how quickly things start to pop into the sales pipeline. Now, as a sales guy and in my sales coaching, I coach to start my day from right to left. Okay, so as a CEO, we're going left to right. As a sales guy, we're going right to left. So my daily focus as a salesperson is what do I need to do today to get the next win? To get the next win today in the next 30 days is not going to be talking to necessarily someone who filled out an interest form last night. It's going to be somebody who I've already had a conversation with, I've already presented an offer to, and it's just a question of onboarding them, maybe guiding them over the pipe. So sales teams, from a daily focus, you're coaching your team to work from right to left. Here's an example of a HubSpot client. We just took the HubSpot default pipeline and just tweaked it a little bit for their needs. But basically, it starts with interest. In their case, they want to know if they're qualified or not because they have a lot of kind of tire kickers that come in or people that aren't necessarily sales qualified. So they're interested, but are they the right type of interested party? So that's going to be qualified to buy. Sometimes that's a conversation. Sometimes it's just doing some analysis on our own. Presentation schedule. This is a demo-led motion, meaning that we talk to these people before we can close them. So we need to demonstrate the product. So then it comes down to scheduling the presentation, addressing decision maker buy-in. I can look at the numbers on each of these every week, week in, week out in a graph like this to see what activity we're doing. So are we getting daily, actual, weekly? Like what is our targets? Because as I said in a previous video, it really comes down to activities. Doing the right activities will produce the right results. If you're not getting the right results, you're not doing the right activities. So let's start with a conversation of tracking where you are today. and then we can optimize for a kind of a benchmark of what we're needing to prove based on where we're at. To that end, again, I'm James, the Growth Executive. Feel free to scan this QR code, jump on my calendar. Happy to do a quick conversation with you and walk you through all of this. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video.